Jesus Christ, Joel. What do you do?
I saved her.
Many people don't realize the complexity behind Joel's character and fail to understand his backstory. The comprehension of Joel's earlier years and the 20-year gap from when the outbreak first started to Joel ending up being in the Boston QZ can really unlock a whole new play experience for both titles of The Last of Us. Really comprehending his backstories makes the reasoning clear as to why he makes certain decisions in both games. Joel Miller, along with his brother Tommy, was born in Arlington, Texas, and later moved to Austin, Texas. If you don't know, there's a really big music scene in Texas, and because of this, Joel learns how to play the guitar and later on aspires to be a singer. But that all got cut short when he met a girl in his early years and had a little girl named Sarah. There really was not much mention of his wife, but what we do know is that they had gotten divorced pretty soon after having Sarah, leaving Joel to be a single dad raising her. Anything that had come up involving Joel's ex, he does not want to discuss. So it's safe to assume that it was a pretty messy breakup. Now, in order to keep the bills paid and food on the table, Joel worked in the construction business, and at some point, he was aspiring to have his own company doing that. He had plenty of books and magazines scattered across his house involving the topic. Unfortunately, because he was so consumed in his work, he couldn't obtain a proper work-life balance, meaning he couldn't 100% be there for Sarah. He couldn't attend all of her soccer games or even just special events altogether like his own birthday. Sarah went out of her way to fix his favorite watch and waited up for him, only for him to show up late once again. And unfortunately, that watch was the only item that he could remember Sarah by. Seeing that the outbreak took place for them later on that evening, Joel was indeed trying his best to be there and take care of Sarah with his own life, and that is shown in the events of the outbreak kicking off. He has to kill his own neighbor for literally breaking into his house.
Jimmy, just stay back! Jimmy, I am warning you!
Turning down others from being able to hop in the car, and even in Sarah's last moments, attempting to take the bullet in place of Sarah. But unfortunately, he was too late in his maneuvers.
We just need... Shit. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this.
It was noted that he struggled to find the will to survive after her death. He did want to harm himself. He didn't want to live in a world that was like this, especially without the one person he cared about the most. When Sarah died, he was devastated that it was her and not him. One could only imagine the weight that was held on his shoulders after the fact. The guilt of not protecting her in that moment. That's the number one job of any parent. Sarah's death is the core of every decision Joel makes in The Last of Us. Understanding this traumatic event that occurred in his life really gives you a glimpse into his psyche. In the earlier years of the outbreak, Joel did everything he could to keep he and his brother alive. This led Joel into a very dark path that included torturing and deceiving innocent people, becoming a hunter that threw all moral code out of the window. They were both really good shots, but they would ambush others for their own personal gain, and that's just what things had come down to. The world they knew no longer existed, and it was basically survival of the fittest. You had to earn the right to live and survive, and that's what they did.
How did you know
Know what?
about the ambush?
I've been on both sides.
Basically, being the fittest and the strongest, they were able to smuggle themselves into the Boston QZ, and this is where Joel had became basically the QZ smuggler. He was not one to mess with. It's almost like he instantly had this badass reputation, from heartbroken father to devious smuggler. Unfortunately, one day, Tommy was sick of Joel's murderous antics. They both had gotten into a huge fight, and Tommy left for the Fireflies. Joel stayed back in the Boston QZ, continuing the smuggling gig that he had made a huge career out of. This is where he meets Tess, and although this has never been confirmed, Joel and Tess did seem to have some form of intimacy, shown through various actions in the show and in the game. Then obviously, somewhere along the line, they did get gypped over some guns, and they met Marlene that offered a solution to their problems, although at a cost. Possibly the biggest and most important thing that they have ever smuggled before, which was Ellie, a girl that turns out to be immune from the cordyceps virus. As we all know, Joel and Ellie weren't very keen of each other at first. They were very cold to one another.
What are you doing?
Killing time.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
I am sure you will figure that out.
Joel looked at Ellie as just a piece of cargo. Going along with his buddy Tess, they were determined to get this done so they could receive their guns. Until shortly after their expedition started, Tess had gotten bit and sacrificed her life to save them. Although she made Joel promise to see this journey out, Joel did feel more obligation to finish the job after the death of his longtime friend Tess.
This was 3 weeks. I was bitten an hour ago and it's already worse. This is fucking real, Joel. There's enough here that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me, so you get her to Tommy's.
After she sacrificed her life, he felt as if he owed this to her. Making his way to his brother Tommy, realizing that he is the only person to know where the Fireflies are. Joel and Ellie, continuing on this journey, they did start to warm up to each other. He started showing her tough love, never leaving her alone or abandoning her. There was still a lot of trust that needed to be built. Joel would never let Ellie use a gun, just really a knife, and various other things. But there was a point in the game where Joel was attacked by a hunter, and Ellie had to shoot the hunter off of Joel, pretty much saving him. It was after this, Joel realized that Ellie isn't like other 14-year-olds that he may have come across. She wasn't his daughter, Sarah. Ellie even says that at some point in the game.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
Ellie is pretty stubborn and she holds her own, then allowing her access to a little pistol, and eventually bigger guns later on. Remember, she was basically in military training before all this occurred. Going to Wyoming, where Tommy was located, brought up painful memories of losing his daughter Sarah, as Tommy showed Joel a picture that was found at Joel's house. Joel declines taking the picture though because the day and his daughter is really something that he just wants to leave in the rearview mirror. It hurts too much. He doesn't want to relive that day. After the bandits attack their little safe area, you can really see how Joel's character has made a shift. He was separated from Ellie at that moment, and all he wanted to do was make sure that she was okay, asking if she was hurt.
Oh man, they were coming in from every direction, then Maria was like, we gotta run, and so we dove over these tables, and this huge guy blasted with a shotgun.
Slow down. Listen, hey, are you hurt?
No.
What people have to understand is that Ellie is his second chance to make new memories with a daughter that he never got to share them with. In Jackson, he realized with them becoming so close, he doesn't want to just pass her along right to the next person, whether that be his brother Tommy or even just the Fireflies. He starts planning a life with her after this whole excursion. When Ellie goes missing, he does just about any and everything to get her back, even torturing people to get the answers that he needs. We all know what happened when they finally reached the Fireflies. Basically, in order to get a vaccine, they would need to kill her, and Joel wasn't having that. So he basically killed everyone in that mug to protect her and get her out of there. And there's a lot of debate about whether or not that was the right thing to do. But again, we have to look at his past. Why do you think he made this decision? He didn't want to relive the most painful memory of his life. He didn't want to lose Ellie like he lost Sarah, at least without giving it his all, and you could see the rage in that man's eyes. There was even some theories out there that the doctors doing this wasn't even 100% certain that this would even make a vaccine, seeming as though they were just killing Ellie for no reason. Also, she didn't give consent, but everyone was just assuming that this is something that she would have wanted to do. Joel theoretically dooms humanity for his own selfish reasons. And when Ellie asked what happened with the Fireflies, Joel lies to her in her face multiple times. When people lose someone they love, many people think back to the day and ponder about what they would have done differently. And I'm sure Joel has had plenty of time to do this and think about that instance with Sarah, so he chose to act. Getting back to Jackson, Ellie and Joel pretty much make a new life out there, very much like life pre-apocalypse, distracting himself from the nightmares of his previous years. The Last of Us 2 really shows us the character arc of Joel over the last few years. He has grown to be so much more gentle and kind to others. Ellie really is like his own daughter over the next couple of years, sharing his talents with her, giving her the guitar as a gift. He finally taught her how to swim. He even surprises her on her 16th birthday by taking her to a museum that she loved to do.
We're here.
Oh my god, it is a dinosaur!
And it is.
Joel!
Surprise.
But sadly, eventually, Ellie ventures out to get her own answers about what happened that day. and she finds out that Joel was lying, and basically ignores Joel for the next couple of years, out of anger. She felt as though her life meant nothing. The silent treatment killed Joel. It was almost like losing his daughter again. He still looked after her, but from a distance. Like at the bar, Joel is silently, patiently, and loyally waiting for an opportunity for them to be reunited again and begin to regain her trust and rebuild the bond between them. His patience taught Ellie how to forgive. And it's a really interesting connection, because in the beginning of the game, he couldn't make enough time for his daughter Sarah, but he made sure to make time for Ellie. When Ellie finally worked up the courage to forgive Joel, it was a tense conversation.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Notice how during pretty much the whole scene, Joel was pretty hunched over, feeling very unconfident. But when he states that he would do it all over again, he is serious, and very confident in his answer. After Ellie tells him that she would like to forgive him, he even starts tearing up. He felt so much joy in having Ellie back in his life, something that he has been hoping for a very long time. And it's crazy how much Joel had changed from the beginning of the first game to the second. Ellie basically taught Joel how to love again, and how to be a caring person who lets his guard down. The level of selflessness he had saving Abby, risking his own life to save hers, is astronomical. And people who say that he wouldn't have done that are really missing who Joel is and how he has grown over the last few years. Because of Jackson and what it has given him, his life resembles what he had before the outbreak. Family, community, friends, hobbies, steady work, and most importantly, another daughter. It's just common nature that he wouldn't remain the lone, ruthless smuggler he once was, and the rough edges are worn away over time. He has this appreciation for human life, which made him want to save Abby, and this unfortunately led to his demise. He didn't live for himself, but he lived for Ellie. He loved her more than anything in his life. It was March 2nd, 2038, the day that Joel had died. He made it 25 years since the outbreak, and he did a pretty good job at surviving. It's a pretty full circle moment as well, because Ellie tried to save Joel in that moment, and just like Joel had to watch his daughter Sarah die in the beginning of all this, his daughter Ellie had to watch him die at the end of it all. He was 56 when he died.
Joel, please get up!
They buried him in the Jackson Cemetery. Sarah had influenced almost every decision that Joel had made in The Last of Us. Joel was a broken man who was in the process of healing himself to be a better man, for himself and Ellie. At least he did partially get closure with her before he passed. He realized that she wanted to try. Was taking Ellie back from the Fireflies a selfish decision? Maybe. But now you can draw your own conclusions from knowing all the facts. Someone said that the world took everything from Joel, so Joel took everything from the world. As in Ellie, who theoretically could have saved the world. Not guaranteed. Every action that Joel committed to seemingly had reasoning behind it. And in the end, he truly did everything out of the love he had for his daughter. After hearing this, tell me, what would you have done? Do you think Joel was right in his actions after all of these years? Did Ellie have the right to be mad at him? And if you like game breakdowns and analysis, then you might want to subscribe because we do that a lot here. AK out.